Good. Okay. And then number 3, what promise are you making to your target audience? So how will your product, your service, your artwork, whatever it is that you're creating and you're putting out in this world, how will that change their life? What is the impact that you want it to have? And when you think about this promise, it's okay to go big with the promise. Like, how do you, like, I know as a marketing coach, as when I help creative entrepreneurs grow their businesses, I am helping them change their lives. I'm helping them quit jobs. I'm helping them support their families. And so, and I'm able to, I sell that promise because it's a big promise. And sometimes that's a really like scary commitment for me to put out there into the world. Like, yeah, I'm going to help you change your life. I'm going to help you quit that job that you don't like and do this full time. And then it's also like a challenge to yourself, right? To rise to that occasion. So how will your product or service change your target audience's life? It's really fun here if you name your target audience. That is probably one of the most fun exercises that I have, is to go through that and name that person. So then you get in the habit of talking to that person, because when you are talking to a human on the other end of the line, the device, the tablet, whatever, you change your tone a little bit, right? You're a little more relaxed, maybe a little more conversational, and it shrinks the online world from this huge internet, like I'm putting this out there for the World Wide Web, into now like, no, I'm only going to talk to Amelia. I'm focused on Amelia, and what anyone else thinks doesn't matter, right? You're here to serve that person. And again, so pick one person to talk to. That will help narrow your vision a little bit. Okay. Number 2, I'm going to keep it rolling so that we can get to questions at the end as well. But again, feel free to interrupt me at any time or put your questions in the chat. All right, number 2, know your brand. I know that this can be, sometimes these are hard because I don't know where you guys are at in terms of business. But brand is basically the personality of the business that you have. So a lot of times as entrepreneurs and solopreneurs, we, the business owners, come to represent our brands. So it can be kind of murky where our personality starts and stops, and then where the personality of our business starts and stops. But as your business grows and you start to develop the story behind the business, that business will kind of take on a personality of its own, but you are responsible for creating that story. I just read a book by Phil Knight. He is the founder of Nike, and it was all about the beginning years of Nike, basically. And so, now Nike has become like, we recognize the swoosh, we recognize Just Do It, we recognize so many things, like it's such a household name, it's everywhere across the globe. But in the beginning days, like Phil Knight was the representative of Nike, and it wasn't even called Nike back then, right? So he had to develop the personality that we have now come to know as Nike, and it stands alone, but it takes time to develop that. So when you're getting to know your brand, you have to ask yourself a few questions. Who are you as a brand, right? Compared to, and now again, they can be the same, like your brand values and your personal values will probably overlap, if not be the same at this point. But it's good to identify those things, to write them down. What are your values? Why does your audience trust you? Or why do you want them to trust you? Why should they trust you? What sets you apart from the others in your industry? When you answer this one, our brains can tend to sometimes go to like a judgmental place or a place of comparison. And I don't want you to go down that path. I want you to approach this question about what sets you apart from more of a place of like, what is my position in my industry? What does my brand represent in my industry? And the next one is, where are you located? Just like in general, letting people know where you are, what you stand for. And this can be like, where are you located geographically, but also like, where are you located as far as like within your industry? What's the position that your brand takes within your industry? So for example, I'm a marketing coach. And what that means is I don't do the marketing for you. I coach you on marketing. I help you put a plan together, and then you take that plan and you execute it. Because what I hated about marketing was that when you do it in a position where you get hired to a different where you get hired on at a company, even at high levels, like as a marketing director, everyone just wants you to run their social media. And honestly, that is my least favorite thing to do. We'll talk about it today and we can turn it around for you too if that's your least favorite. But I didn't want to get paid to do that for a living. Like I have other talents and skills that I would like to flex. So where I am as a marketing coach in my industry is that I work with people who want to run their own marketing, who know that marketing is important. I'm not here to sell you on the fact that you need to market your business or your brand. And you guys know that because you showed up tonight. So thank you. And then, so just really basic information like where are you located, where if you have a storefront, and how can people buy from you? How can they pay you? Make it as simple as possible for people to get to know you and for people to give you their money. You have like 8 seconds, I think, when someone clicks on, let's say they're on your Instagram page, they click on your website that's in your Instagram bio. You have 8 seconds when they hit your homepage to grab their attention. And if you're overcomplicating that path, you're going to lose their attention. All right. So know your brand. Knowing your brand gives you the ability to confidently sell your products and services, and this requires being able to articulate those things. All right, number 3, email. This is one of the most important connections that we can have with our target audiences, especially right now. And the reason that email is important is because this is an actual connection that we own. When someone signs up for your email list, whether it's, however they do it, and I'm not going to talk about that today, but you should have a way to collect emails somehow, right? If we get back to doing in-person events, there's a good old-fashioned like clipboard with email sign up. If you have a website, most websites have an option to have like a subscriber box that you can then integrate with an email marketing platform like MailChimp. And I'll talk about some of my favorite tools at the end, but having this email connection is where you can you can treat them as your VIPs. And you can also give them something in return for their email. You can give them something for free. You can give them a discount. You can give them a small thank you. You can give them, like I have a free workshop. So if you sign up for my email list, or when you sign up for the workshop, you get added to the list and then you get access to that content. And you want to make sure that you're asking your subscribers permission to add them to the list, because this is where you can get into, if you're not asking permission and you're assuming that because they bought something from you that they want to be added to your email list, then that's when you're going to get into the like more sleazy marketing tactics and they may unsubscribe. And also don't pay attention to the unsubscribers, right? As long as you're asking permission and you're getting their emails in an ethical way and you're not spamming them, that's okay. Unsubscribers are going to happen. It's just part of the process. So I would suggest not even looking at that and just making sure that you're asking for their permission before you add them to your email list. And then keep your emails fun, keep them engaging, keep them casual, and really pay attention to what content is resonating with your audience. Most email marketing platforms have a way that you can check the analytics, so you can see unsubscribers, but we're not going to look at that one. And you can see, what links they're clicking on. You can see what subject lines they're opening. Maybe there's more action-based subject lines that are getting their attention and leading them to open the emails. So just have fun with it. So much of the work I do with clients is like giving them permission to be themselves and giving them permission to bring their personalities to marketing their business, because people sell products. People resonate with people. People don't resonate with logos or brand names. Again, it goes back to telling the story behind the brand and creating that emotional connection with your audience. And email is a really great way to start to get a little more personal and to get people excited about communicating with you. Okay. Number 4, social media. All right, this is it. And I know you'll have a lot of questions on this. So number 4, social media is, the point of social media is an opportunity for you to get in front of your audience wherever they are. It's important to remember on social media that you are there to serve your audience and to deliver value for your audience. When we're putting ourselves out there and we're creating content, it can be unnerving, right? It can feel really vulnerable. It can feel scary. It can feel like this internet is like this big bad place. Like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna put this out there. Like, what will they think? But remember who you're talking to. That one person. I have a client whose target audience is named Amelia, so that's why I keep going back to the Amelia. But so think about Amelia or whatever name you pick, and just like keep that posted somewhere you can see it. If it's on your laptop, your office, your studio, wherever you do your content posting and creating, and just remember you're talking to them and them only, and anybody else outside of that doesn't matter. And then get in the habit of reintroducing yourself, because if you are consistently, and we'll talk about being consistent in a minute, if you're consistently showing up on social media and you're engaging and you're delivering value, then people are going to start paying attention. And when they start paying attention, you'll have to get in the habit of reintroducing yourself and telling these new people what it is you do. And with the way that these social media algorithms work, you can't count on the fact that every time you post something, all of your followers are going to see it. So reintroduce yourself as often as you feel inclined to do, so that people know who you are. Who's the face behind this artwork? Who's the face behind this business? Because again, that's what they're going to connect with. Your beautiful face. Don't be afraid to show your face. It doesn't matter. Like on your crazy hair days, whatever. Just put your face out there. Sometimes I go on like, you're welcome. I wore my full face of makeup for you tonight. But I don't always I don't look like this every day, that's for sure. And I'm not afraid to get on Instagram and, put my pajama face out there either. So you just have to, again, I was telling Kate and Jen before the call, like, you guys wouldn't know, but I haven't washed my hair in a few days. And so that's the beauty of not having in-person contact, right? Like, it's great. Just put a filter on there and get your face out there. People are going to resonate with you personally. Number 3, each interaction is an opportunity to build trust. So I don't know why I just added a number to that, but treat each interaction on Instagram, Facebook, whatever platform you're using, as a way to build trust, to build engagement. So if you post something and people are commenting, take the time to reply to those comments. That also helps boost your visibility with the algorithms. If people are sending you messages, take the time to reply to those messages and reciprocate that action. So if you are one of those like passive lurkers on social media where you see things and you're like, oh, that's cool, but you don't let them know that you think that's cool, or it could be a DM, a direct message, a comment, a heart, whatever it is, interacting on social media is also a great way to network. And right now, networking, as we knew it before, there are limited ways to network. It's all virtual. So have some fun on social media and treat that as a networking platform. Be consistent. So be consistent here means 2 things. Be consistent with your messaging. So the words you use to describe what you do and describe your brand, and also with how often you're showing up and showing your face, and with the value that you're delivering, right? So consistency is key. You want people, like, marketing surprises are the worst type of surprises. So if I go to your Instagram and I think, oh, this is cool, I'm digging it, and then I click on your website and I'm like, wait a second, these things don't match. Like, the way I feel looking at the Instagram compared to how I feel looking at the website does not align, then you're inconsistent. So you want your brand to be consistent across platforms. And that could be from aesthetics to like messaging to just the way, like what you're selling, right? And again, making that path as simple as possible for your client to follow. And we'll get there. We will talk about customer journey. Also using hashtags, going back to networking on Instagram, hashtags are a great way. They had gone away during the election, but now they're back. So hashtags are a great way to stay relevant and to follow things that you're into and that you're like, figure out where your target audience is with hashtags. And you can do this simply by opening up, well, on Instagram, if you use Instagram, hashtags are the most relevant there. So open up your Instagram and there's like, go to the search bar area, the search thing, and then there's a tags. And you can just start typing in tags, whatever it is, like whatever medium you work with, just keywords that you use to describe your art or that you think your audience is using when they're looking up whatever art they like to consume. You can, once you find a few that stand out, you can actually follow those so that they'll show up in your feed and then you can start interacting there. So that's a great tip that I got from an Instagram expert actually. So using hashtags to your benefit, that's a great way to network. Again, it's a great way to get in front of your audience. So putting hashtags in your comment section when you make a post and also following hashtags so you can interact with other posts that are of interest to you and your target audience. And then if you're like, I don't know how I'm going to be consistent on social media, I just don't know what to post, I run out of ideas. Here's the thing about what you do as artists. For someone like me who isn't an artist, but like I so appreciate the arts and I am a creative person. We have a very creative household, more musically creative, but it is so fascinating for me to see behind the scenes. Everyone loves a good process story, right? And everyone loves a good journey. So bring people behind the scenes, pull the curtain back a little bit, let them see what you're working on. Let them know why you do the things that you do. Why did you choose that paintbrush? Why did you choose? I mean, and like, forgive me for butchering any art terms in advance. But insert, explain why. That is such a great opportunity to educate your audience. So here are like four words. So if you want a social media schedule, if you're looking to be more consistent on social media just by like showing up more often, one day create a post that's educational. Tell them why you do the things you do, why you've chosen the tools that you do, why you whatever it is, educate them. Another day of the week, so like day 2, engage with your audience. Maybe you go into your Instagram stories and you ask them some questions, ask for feedback, take polls. That is a great way to get to know your audience and to understand what they want. Number 3, empathize. Let them know you see them, you hear them, you understand them. That's when you'll start to see messaging, if you've ever seen it, where it's like you feel like it speaks directly to you. I have made podcasts before. I do have a podcast. We'll get there. And I've had clients reach out to me and say, hey, were you talking about me on that podcast? And I never am, right? Or once in a while, it's inspired by a client interaction. But in that particular instance, I wasn't. And I was like, no, I wasn't actually talking about you, but that's great marketing because you felt singled out in that podcast. So you want to, again, going back to speaking to that one person, empathize with them. Let them know you know them, you're getting to know them, you understand them. And then elaborate. Just explain something. Explain what it is that you're doing. Understand that your audience is paying attention because they're interested in you and they want to hear from you. So don't be afraid to give a little more. And then I had a fun, let's see if it'll work. Oh, did I get out of my? I did. Okay. So I'll share this link with you, but this is like 25 artists you can follow on Instagram. It's just on huffpost.com. But I thought this might be good inspiration for you guys if you're looking. So you can see right here some great hashtag usage. Okay, not great hashtag usage, but they did use hashtags.
Miranda, can you send me the link so I can put it into the chat?
Oh yeah, I'll do that actually. Let's do that. Okay, there you go.
Your screen sharing stopped working for us.
Okay, I'll screen share. And I gave you the link.
Thank you. I'm going to share that with the group.
So real quick, thank you, Kate. The reason why I said this is not great hashtag usage is because it's really vague. So love, Poland, crocheted, heart. If you want to make the best use out of hashtags, when you look up hashtags, you'll see that there's a number next to it, like how many posts associated with that hashtag in particular. And you'll want to pick hashtags that have lower numbers because those communities are going to be more engaging and your own post will not get lost in the sea associated with that. Like love, I mean, I can only imagine how many, probably millions of posts associated with hashtag love. And so this is just a fun, you guys can peruse it. There, some famous people, you're probably more familiar. Yoko Ono, I know that one.
Can you screen share?
Yeah.
Can you screen share again, please?
Yes.
And while you were doing that, we've had a couple of questions in the chat, if that's okay.
Perfect.
People are asking for examples of a couple of things, like what do you mean by an empathizing post or a post that shows empathy? Could you give us a specific example of that?
Yes. So let's see here. Let me think of, so when if you've ever seen a post that says, and it's hard for me to think of one that would be relevant right now, but like think about your target audience and being able to define them. So like for the example with the podcast, I also made a post about it, right? And I was talking to my target audience about how they feel overwhelmed with marketing their own businesses and that they don't really have a lot of time to market their own businesses because they're busy creating, right? I work with people who make things and want to sell those things as their business. And so letting them know that I understand that they're short on time and that they know that they understand the importance of marketing their business and they probably are already marketing their business, but know they can do a better job. They're feeling overwhelmed with all of the marketing advice and tools out there. And here's how I can solve that problem. I have a free workshop. It's 1 hour. It was from 8 to 9 after the kids go to bed because I work with a lot of moms. And I had actually done a poll in my Instagram stories and they all told me they wanted like post bedtime workshop, that they'd be able to attend that. So I let them know in that Instagram post, like, hey, I see you, you're a busy mom, you're running this business in between nap time, part-time jobs, and creating your products to sell in your business. And here's how I can solve that problem. There's a free workshop I'm offering. It's 1 hour. We'll cover all of the marketing basics and you'll get a free 4-week marketing action plan that you can start executing the next day.
Okay.
So did that help?
It sounded good to me.
Okay.
If the person who asked it wants to ask more, let me know. Another one that people were asking for examples for was, you mentioned that sometimes people are responding to you with a heart or with a like. How do we respond to that? Or are there ways that we can respond to that?
No, I mean, if they're just liking your posts, there's not a whole lot you can do there. I have seen before when I follow someone new that they like reach out and they say, hey, I see you're new here. Thanks so much for following along. But as far as like a like or a heart, there's really not anything you can do to engage back with that. It's more so the comments, the direct messages, any interest. Like if you see someone new follows you and then they like a bunch of your stuff at one time, you could message them and just say like, hey, I saw you're new here. Thanks so much for showing love. And just letting them know that you acknowledge them. You want to make social media a two-way street, if that makes sense.
Okay. And then the last one that we have is, when we're posting videos, do you think it's better to do a live video or to create an edited video? Or does it depend?
It just depends. It depends on, I think the best thing to do in that situation is to do both, to mix it up. Like one time go live. And if you go live on, Facebook or Instagram, you can also save that so that it gets into your feed and like stays relevant. So people who miss the live can watch it later. You can like go live and maybe do a summary of whatever the more polished video is, and then release the polished video. There's so many ways you can mix up your content. That goes back to being engaging. And so really thinking about what your audience, and thinking about how your audience consumes. So I do an end of year survey every year, and I ask my clients, like, how do they consume information? And at the end of 2019, everyone wanted short Instagram videos. So in 2020, I did a lot of short, helpful, like action-based Instagram videos. And then this year, when I actually pulled them in my survey and on Instagram, and people are leaning more towards podcasts, right? And so that's where, like, my podcast is pretty active anyway, but it was interesting because you can asking your audience what they want is a really good way to just get started. Like, oh, okay, I'm spending all this time creating these short Instagram videos, or for a year I did like curated, edited, longer videos on YouTube, and I realized my audience wasn't watching those. So it's really helpful to ask your audience how they prefer to consume information, so that you can make the most out of your time and deliver the most value to your audience.
Thank you. That was the last question I had. Does anybody else have a social media question before we move on? Okay.
Okay, great. So we will move on. Oh, okay. Online shopping. So this one, and we'll get to customer journey, but in this case, you want to let people know how they can spend money with you repeatedly. Just like reintroducing yourself, repeatedly tell people how they can spend money with you. Because if they're confused about how they can give you their dollars, they're going to move on to someone else who's making it easier for them. Consumers are lazy. You guys are all consumers. I'm consumers. We tend to be like, we don't want lots of clicks along the way. So if I click on, if you're talking about something, let's say you have a post and you're talking about a piece of pottery you want to sell, and you're saying like, click the link in bio to shop this piece. When I click that link, it should link directly to the piece you were referencing, at least for that day when you made the post. Because if it sends me to your homepage and then I have to find your shop and then I have to search by category because I wanted this flower vase, now you've lost me. There are too many steps in the process. So let people know how they can spend money with you. Make it as easy as possible. Make sure your links work. Double, triple check your links every single time, especially for email, especially if you're linking on social media. Make sure your inventory is up to date. I don't know if anyone here has an Etsy shop. If you have shops on websites, sometimes managing multiple online stores can be tricky on the back end. So you staying organized and making sure your inventory is up to date is going to mitigate some, poor customer interactions. Like I have had clients who had customers buy something on Etsy and then they shipped them the wrong things, and so and the things they sent were actually to be shipped to a customer who had purchased them online. So that can be a really messy situation. It's time consuming, it's costly, again, creating more work for your consumer. Communicate timelines. So give yourself a grace period, especially, the rhythms of your own business. It's for the holidays for most people. If you're selling things, you get busy. So it's really good to give yourself a grace period. I mean, we all know this year, like I heard the lady at the post office, she was saying it was like the busiest year the post office has seen in the history of the United States Postal Service. And so allowing for things like shipping time are great, but also giving yourself time to process these orders in a timely manner without going crazy. And then just communicating that with your target audience and just saying, hey, my timelines for, shipping this to you are extended right now. And you don't have to explain why. It's just nice to give them that heads up at every point. Like, just a reminder, this is going to take like 10 to 15 days to get to you right now. Make sure you build in cushion for yourself. And then remember that this transaction is just another way to build trust with your audience, and provide excellent customer service. So communicating timelines is super helpful. That's why making sure your inventory is up to date is super helpful. And then I'm looking around. I used to have a little example, but I got some like bath products from a woman in Naperville. Her company is called Over Soaped. And when she shipped them to me, she gave me a really cute like discount card that was on brand. She also had like a handwritten thank you note in there. And then she gave me a free sample of a little bar of soap. And so those little touches go a long way, because that's that shipment. If you're shipping, whatever it is, like doing something extra is always really nice for the consumer, and it's going to make them remember you. And do you know how many times I have referenced that Over Soaked company in workshops now? So many times. And I will show you right here. Here's her lavender body cream. It's great. It smells great. My hands feel great. All right. So the personal touches stand out. Again, getting personal with your target audience, engaging with them, empathizing with them. Like, hey, you bought this stuff. You might like this. Well, also little handwritten notes. All those things, they're great. Online advertising. All right, everyone wants to know about running advertising on Google or Facebook or Instagram. And I will tell you right now, this is the most time-consuming thing, and it is a long-term investment. It takes an actual recurring budget. So if you don't have a budget that you can allocate to this on like a 6, 12, 24-month basis, then I don't know that I would call it advertising, but just like selective promotion. All right. And likes and followers do not equal sales. So certainly you can experiment with paid ads. Like you can throw $20 behind an advertisement or a post on Facebook to promote it and see how it works. But if you want to actually see those results, if you want to actually see those conversions from someone who's just looking at your stuff to someone who's buying it, you're going to need to really throw some money behind these things. Again, you can quickly create, run, and test advertising. You can play with the copy, you can play with the creative, you can play with the offering, and you can play with the audience. But it's so time consuming because Facebook ad, like the Facebook ad manager, when you really get into it, has so many options. And so this is where, if you're going to do this yourself, I would treat it as an experiment just to see what happens, right? Don't put too much hope behind like selling something there. But it is a great opportunity to, especially if you're local and you have an event and you want to promote it to locals, or you want it to promote it to like a specific group of locals, that is a great way to get extra eyes on things and to generate brand awareness and get your target audience comfortable seeing you. But it's not going to necessarily translate into sales in the short term. Long term, that can really work for you. And if you really are interested in online advertising, but you're not familiar with it, I suggest, finding someone you can hire or you can consult with that specializes in online advertising. I won't spend a lot of time on that one.
We had a question on that one.
Yeah.
When you say you should plan on spending some money for advertising costs, could you define some money?
I listened to a podcast that said, and this is a woman, she is a life coach. She has $1 million life coaching company that she built, and she said her budget is like $2,000 to $4,000 for social media advertising per month. And she said like under that they were not really seeing results, and she has a team of people, it's not just her running this advertising. So that's for like the long-term investment, right? But you can go right now and put $20 or $50 or $100. You can work with whatever budget you have on Facebook. But in order to see what people want out of social media advertising are sales. And so that takes time to build up, and it takes a bigger budget and part of this process is like figuring out what resonates with your target audience. And so it takes time and money to test things and to say like, okay, they liked this photo, but this headline didn't work, and that's where you can get really into like the online advertising world is, there's so many ways to get into it. I hope that answered it.
It did. Jeff has another question. Jeff, do you want to just ask it? Because we're having some trouble with the chat.
Yeah, sorry, I can't spell for anything. Is there like an amount of money that someone on Facebook is spending? Like, are they buying luxury cars on Facebook? Or are they buying essential oils? Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
What is relevant for like? At what point is advertising on Facebook not going to be a good choice?
Advertising, I mean, it really all depends on your audience. It depends on where they're spending their time and what they're paying attention to. Facebook advertising right now is like, it's so overrun, right? Like we're all tired of getting spammed with things we don't see, or it's also getting like really creepy. You talk about something and all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, how did they know I was just talking about that? So you really have to know your audience and know where they're hanging out. And that's where advertising can be fun, because you can get very, very specific with your audience parameters. But people are still shopping and they're still using those ads on Facebook. I heard the other day in a video I watched that like LinkedIn is now the hotbed for advertising. Like your money will go further, but you have to ask yourself like, okay, who's the audience on LinkedIn? Is my audience there? How can I tweak my messaging to make it relevant? So it's really about knowing your audience and asking yourself like, are they spending time on Facebook? Or are they spending time on Instagram? You can also run Google ads. I think the only thing more complicated than Facebook ads is the Google ad platform. But again, these things are such good ways to get information about your audience and to test things and see what's resonating with them. So even if you do it on a basic level with just like a little bit of money, it's a really great experiment for you. To learn more about your consumers. So I know that it's kind of a vague answer because I don't have a very specific answer to that question. Anybody else? Okay. I'm going to keep it moving. Okay, this is a long one, so bear with me here. The point of this is to get you, again, you guys are going to be so tired of me saying target audience. I should have told you to drink every time I said it. To get you to understand your target audience. And so we really want to get into their heads and understand their journey and on to building a relationship with us. So think about your marketing tactics, the the marketing actions that you are taking in your business, think about those as breadcrumbs leading your customer closer and closer and closer to paying you, to whatever it is your final destination is with your customer, right? Maybe it's buying a piece of artwork, maybe it's attending an art show. So you want to start like at the top is, you can also think about this as a funnel, right? Sales funnel is another name for your customer journey. So if you want to think about it as a funnel, at the top of the funnel is brand awareness. So this is when your customer is first learning about you. For a lot of us, that's on social media. So when they're on social media, they're getting to know you. Excuse me, I had a Topo Chico and that was a terrible, terrible decision for a presentation. So they're getting to know you on social media, right? That's brand awareness. And then they say, cool, I like this. I'm interested in learning more. And then they want to learn more. They want to get to know you a little bit. They want to experience the value you deliver. So then they would click on something, or you direct them to how they can get to learn more about you. So in my case, that would be like a podcast, right? It could be videos, it could be a blog. So you tell them on social media, hey, if you're interested and you like what you hear and you want to learn more, you can check out this podcast. And this is what we're talking about, and this is why it's relevant to you. Again, always bringing it back to them. So then on the podcast, they think like, okay, yeah, I'm into it. I could learn more about, I want to learn more about the services that they offer, about the things that they sell, how can I pay them? So then they check out your website, right? Websites are not always the first place people go anymore. Most of the times they're finding us on social media. So, but then they get to their website and they say like, how do I test the water here? What is a small commitment, a minimal investment? And that's where a lot of times they're willing to trade their email to get something for free or a discount or whatever, because it's a low cost entry, right? So that's where you can have a free offering, an email sign up. And again, you're moving them down the funnel. And then they say, okay, yeah, that was super valuable. How do I really work with this person? Or how can I purchase something bigger? Like I'm ready to make a bigger financial commitment. And then that's when you ask for the sale, right? So maybe they have signed up for something for free. You've sent them some emails. You gave them the free thing or the discount. They thought that you fulfilled the promise that you made. They liked it. And then you're willing and able to, at that point, sell them on the bigger thing. And you have to know where you want your customer to go. Because if you're confused about any of these steps in this journey, then they're confused and they don't know, like, what's the point? Like, where are we going? How is this relationship growing, right? And then once you do that, and this is why those personal touches with your customers are so important, and keeping your customers engaged and letting them know you see them and over delivering on what you promise, because then you want your customers to come back. And the ultimate destination for all of us is to have happy customers who do the marketing for us. They leave good reviews, they tell their friends, they're interacting with us on social media. You don't need a big customer base, right? To generate sales, if that's what you're looking to do, to generate income. You just need a loyal customer base. You need a customer base that keeps coming back because they like what you deliver. And the way to do that is to direct them and guide them through this funnel on this journey, and let them know you're here with them and you see them and you understand them, and then over deliver on what you promise them. Sending them the wrong thing in the mail that they've already paid for is a great way to just get them to jump out of this funnel, to step off this journey and say thanks, but no thanks, right? So get them to keep coming back. How do you do that? And again, that just depends on who your customer is. I just had all my clients are on a 6-month renewal plan, and I had 100% renewal rate. And I have clients at this point who have been renewing at 6 months for 3 years, some of them. And that's because they see the value in the work that we do together. And so, and I meet with my clients once a month for 60 minutes. And in that time, they've been able to transform, like actually transform their lives, because it's, again, we're in the long-term journey, especially with marketing coaching. So really think about that. Like, how do you get your customers to keep coming back and to talk about you online and to tell their friends about you? I know that was a big one, guys. All right, I know we're approaching the hour. We're going to get through these and then we'll have questions. So communicate clearly. Again, stop confusing your audience. If you're confused, they're confused. Don't overcomplicate your offers. Don't overcomplicate your marketing plan, and focus on over-delivering value to your clients instead of collecting money. Every time you show up to market your business, I want you to position it in the perspective of, what does my audience need? How can I serve my audience today? Because so often it's our artwork, it's our creations, it's our business, it's our life. So often we can keep that focus on us. We can stay so stuck in our own minds that we forget that there's a human on the other side, right? Or we don't care about their feelings. Like, I'm nervous about this and I worked really hard on this. I spent a lot of time on this, but they don't care. I mean, they do, but they don't. They want to know what's in it for them. So focus on delivering value, show up consistently, tell them who you are, tell them how your product and your service can benefit them, and tell them how they can work with you, and repeat. Always repeat that information, because you want to keep the information in front of them so that when they are finally ready to buy from you, they're like, yep, I know how to do that. She's been telling me for months how to work with her. Number 9, show your face. I talked about this a little bit, but who's the face of your brand? Who is the beautiful person behind this artwork? People make connections with people, and connections with logos and business names come after you've built up that story, you've developed that brand and reputation. Let them know who's talking to them. What was I looking at the other day? I cannot remember, but I clicked on someone's Instagram page. It was a business. It was like a candle company or something. And I wanted to know they were local, but there was not a single picture of the artist. And I thought that was so bizarre, because like, I care about your art, and that's what got me to click on there, but I was there to learn more about the person behind it, because that's who I'm going to connect with, right? Or not. Especially for small businesses, for artists, for people like creating things, they want to know who they are supporting. They want to know your story. They want to know who they're giving their money to, right? And then ask yourself, is this client business relationship built to last, or is it a one-time thing, right? A lot of marketing is like dating. You have to work at it, and you ask yourself, like, am I gonna take this one home to mom, or is it just one night thing? You have to ask yourself these things, because you want a relationship that's built to last. You want a relationship that is strong, that is loyal, that they keep coming back. And so really questioning like how you're developing that relationship, and making sure that you're guiding your customer on a journey that is developing a long-term trusting relationship is the goal. All right, number 10, free marketing tools. Marketing doesn't have to be expensive or complicated. There are a lot of tools out there, and honestly, I think that's probably the biggest problem, is that just figuring out which tool to use can be really overwhelming. So for email marketing, I personally use MailChimp. They do have a free offering. I think it has changed a little bit since I signed up for the free one years ago, but I like MailChimp. There's a lot you can do in MailChimp. You can connect it to your website. You can connect it to Facebook. You can create landing pages. Constant Contact is another popular one. There was one, I think there's one called Drip, maybe, that is more creative based. I'm not very familiar with that. I just saw an ad for it. As far as content creation, I mean, pretty limited here. I mean, unlimited here. I like Canva. Canva.com is a great free tool. It's like, I like to think of it like Photoshop for dummies, but they have loads of templates. If you use Canva, I just found out a client of mine was using Canva and she didn't know that they have templates. So like you can start out by going to canva.com, creating a free account. Again, their free account is awesome. And then like in the search bar, if you want to create a Facebook post or an Instagram story, they'll give you loads of templates that are already sized correctly. And even if you just want the size and you like delete the content in the template and start fresh, it's nice to not have to question what size to make things. And their templates are cute. I would say if you're going to use one of their pre-made templates, to make sure it's on brand, like aesthetically. So whether it's your colors or your font or your face, whatever it is, it helps people if they can recognize right away, like, oh, that's your podcast episode. Like, oh, that must mean she has a new podcast, right? Or something like that. That is where having logos or your face can be really helpful, because it's something when people see it come up in the feed, they immediately associate it with you, your art, your business. And then I have a podcast. It's called the Marketing for the Uninhibited podcast. And I try to keep the episodes around 30 minutes, and I try to keep them action-based. And so if you are looking for more specific marketing topics or more specific help, you can go to the podcast. I also have short videos on IGTV, and I have a free marketing 101 workshop on my website. Again, if you want to cover your marketing basics. But that is it. So here's the quick recap. Number 1, know your audience. Number 2, know your brand. Number 3, use email marketing. 4, social media. 5, online shopping. 6, online advertising. 7, understanding the customer journey. That's probably the most, if not, knowing your audience and understanding the customer journey are the 2 most important things today. 8, communicating clearly. 9, showing your face. 10, using free marketing tools. All right. Questions. I know that was a lot of information. So if you're still here, thank you very much for attending tonight. And thank you for listening and sticking with it and asking questions.
We had one that came through in the chat. You talked about you have a subscription-based service. Do you offer one-time consultations as well?
Yeah, great question. So I do offer free 30-minute consultations, and then just today, actually, I brought back my one-on-one service, and it is a 90-minute one-time service, and it's pretty much yours to use how you want to for the time. But I like to position it as like if you have a problem to solve, or you want to launch something, or you're looking to pivot, like that 90 minutes is great. And you get a 4-week marketing action plan, and I will support you virtually for the 4 weeks, like after the meeting. So whether it's email, text, or Voxer, we can still communicate as you execute that plan on your own. Thanks for asking.
And could you give us a ballpark on the 90-minute session? Like, how much is that?
Yeah, so the 90-minute session with the 4 weeks of virtual support and the marketing action plan is $495.
Okay.
And you can actually sign up for that directly on my website. You can just like, it takes you to the scheduling app, and you can pick the day and time that works for you. And those are really fun.
And you make it so easy on the website, just like you said.
Yes. Yeah, that's the point. You know, if I'm not taking my own advice, I'd be a hypocrite up here telling you guys. And that's the thing too, is like, I think it's easy to look around at people. I mean, even myself, like we're all in this together, right? Like I'm figuring this out with you guys sometimes too. And so I'm here, but I also have to take all of this advice, like email marketing. I have not done a good job of that this year.
Are there any other questions, folks? Okay, so I see that Miranda has shown us all of the ways that we can get in contact with her. Thank you so much for taking this time with us to volunteer to present to all of us.
Yeah.
I will post the slides when you send them to me. I will send them to the Facebook group. So if you are already registered in the Facebook group, I will have those up by tomorrow afternoon.
Great. Yeah, and really, I want to encourage you guys, like, don't hesitate to utilize my free 30-minute consultation to like go deeper, you know, for your business, or if you have more questions on that, because it's like 30 minutes on Zoom and it's yours to use. So even if you don't want to hire me, like, don't be afraid to just sign up for the 30-minute consultation, because those are super fun too. So and I'll give you a little like follow up from there as well, like an action plan. So thank you so much for having me. This is really fun.
Thank you so much for being here.